Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Hockey Hacks YouTube channel. I'm Devon Davidson, your host. With me, as always, Bruce Gunther. Bruce, what's happening?
Still drowning my sorrows in last night's game.
Like the rest of us Oilers fans.
We thought we had a chance there for a bit in the second period, but it evaporated quickly in the third.
Yeah. Well, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I should tell anyone that's watching we are a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network and the official podcast of Left Wing Lock, your number one source for fantasy hockey intelligence. If you haven't listened to our podcast yet, go check it out on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And with that, Bruce, let's get to the yapping about the Edmonton Oilers. I guess first off, I always jump ahead of myself. We're going to cover NHL today. Game recap from yesterday. We'll do our game preview for the Rangers and the Bolts for tonight, and then we'll go through DFS plays and prop bets for today's game as well. So now let's get to our recap, Bruce. Where do you want to start? I mean, the first comment I have is one hell of a game. It was an entertaining hockey game through and through.
Absolutely, it was a lot of fun to watch. Well, don't know if it was much fun to play, but it was lots of fun to watch. There was action on both ends. It was great.
Yeah, especially that second period, like when the Oilers went up 3-1, I was sitting there going, we got a shot here, right? Like we might actually go to 5 games.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Then the third period started. Well, and then, I watched it after and I'm thinking back to myself, I should have known. 3-1, there's a whole period to play, and Mike Smith's in goal. We know this isn't going to be a 3-1 game or a 3-2 game, so yeah. Well, and you knew Colorado was going to come out hard in that third period. They'd made a few mistakes there, like on Nuge's goal there. That was a pretty big one there. So you knew they were going to come out hard in the third, and they were going to avenge the second period, and they did that. But the Oilers held in. They got that goal by Cassie in there. That's what you need a guy to do, right? You go to the net, you just stand there, and you just wait for the rebound, and it just came right to him. We go, click, it's in. It was
okay. Yeah,
probably the easiest goal he'll ever score in his life.
Well, when he scored that one, I was going, man, the legend of Nuge lives on, right? Like he's had a good postseason here, and the fans love him in Edmonton. So that was really cool to see him score a big goal like that in the Western Conference Final. But of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, Bruce.
No, it isn't.
I'll say, as an Oilers fan, I'm proud of the team. I think it was a good season overall. Obviously, a disappointing finish, but the Oilers just flat out got outplayed by a better team, right? I think that's
and it wasn't even really that close when you looked at it. It just Colorado was on a totally different level than what Edmonton was on.
I think last night I looked at the numbers, and I'm not going to go through it today because really at this point doesn't matter. But if you look at the puck metrics and stuff, last night I think was the closest of the 4 games. It was very close when you looked at scoring chances for and high danger and shots for and all that kind of stuff. So they came out to play. It was an elimination game, and they looked like it. But there's a couple things that I'm a little pissed about, quite honestly. And I don't know if you saw, Bruce. It was actually in the Edmonton Journal this morning as well. But if we had a list on this show, if we had a John's list on this live stream, Sportsnet would be on it, and the Score would be on it, and you'd never get off that list because those were just classless garbage tweets and posts from both networks last night. It actually shocks me. It shocks me that Sportsnet, the broadcast rights holder for the Edmonton Oilers, would post something so stupid from their social media accounts. Did you see it?
I didn't see the Sportsnet one. I saw the Score one, but I didn't see the Sportsnet one.
I know it was meant to be funny, but it wasn't. And I didn't see any posts even close to that when the Leafs went out, when the Flames went out, but they took an opportunity to take a shot at the Edmonton Oilers and their fans, honestly, at a terrible time. And the Sportsnet one wasn't quite as bad as the Score. The Score was really bad. It was just a useless post.
But they're doing that because they need the clicks. So that gets them the clicks, that gets them the notoriety, and that's why they did that. What did Sportsnet do? I didn't see what Sportsnet did.
Well, it was something similar. Maybe I'll put a link in the description of this video, but I think there's an article on the Edmonton Journal. They actually deleted the post since. So
okay.
But basically what it was a picture of the Stanley. It was a GIF. It was a picture of the Stanley Cup and some drunk guy with an Edmonton Oilers logo on his chest and no shirt. And they're in the middle of a field, and the drunk guy falls on his face, and the Stanley Cup just kind of walks away. So Which, you know what, probably a fair assessment because the Oilers didn't win the cup, but it's just strange. It's a very weird take for Sportsnet to put out there, given that Rogers, their parent company, is on the Edmonton Oilers building. So I don't know what they were thinking.
Obviously, it was done by a Leafs fan
or a Flames fan. I'm guessing. Well, and this is part of why us as Western Canadians, we get frustrated with the Eastern media bias, right? It's a real thing, Bruce. I mean, that was evident with those two posts. I just shake my head.
Definitely. Yeah, it's
so
we don't get any respect here out West.
No. So I know we're totally getting off the rails, but that was absolute trash, and I had to get that off my chest today because why not? So, but let's get back to hockey here. I thought the Derek Ryan call was a pretty soft call late in the third period, given that it was an elimination game. What did you think?
It was a Derek Ryan sandwich. It's like, how can it be holding? There's two guys holding him up. It's like, how can the call be on him?
Yeah.
It's like it should have been the Colorado player on the left because he was the one that threw both of them down. It's like, why wouldn't the call be on him? Like, I didn't get that one at all. It was, that was just weird.
Pretty soft. And then for them, they scored on the play too, right? On that power play.
Yeah, it didn't take them long to score after that. I think that was Rantanen's goal, I think.
Yeah, that put them up by a goal late, and then of course Kassian came back and scored that one. At the end of the third there. So didn't like that one. That was unfortunate as well. I really Nathan MacKinnon would be on my list here as well. I know. Look, he's a hell of a hockey player, but I did not like what I saw from him in this series. There was definitely some cheap plays in my opinion. I didn't like the Hyman knee last night.
No, I didn't see that one until the replay. I'm like, oh, he's lucky he's not seriously hurt because I saw the leg bend. It's like, oh.
And no attempt to play the puck. It was literally, you watch that, like he's not trying to hit him in the upper body. It was literally a knee on knee. I hated the play. No. So Nathan MacKinnon, not a fan. And I didn't like the slew foot on Draisaitl from the last game as well. So,
no, you watch that and too, like, I forget who would mention they're talking about getting those hitting from behind. It's like, if you actually watch, so I didn't watch the first period. I watched about midway through the second period on. And from what I watched, if they had any instance about taking the hitting from behind done, Kassian would have been done about 5 minutes into the second period. Like he was hitting everybody from behind, like, and how he would, but the guys were getting up, so they weren't calling anything. It's same thing, right? And the guys are taking runs at other people and they're just letting them play, right? So
it was interesting, no question. Some fun calls there, Bruce. Whatever. Let's get on some happier notes here. Connor McDavid, 33 points. Leon Draisaitl, 32. They became the second and third players since Evgeny Malkin in 2009 to score 30-plus points in a single postseason. And they managed to do it in 3 rounds. And so historic stuff from both players. And I just wanted to give some particular attention to Leon Draisaitl because that guy's an absolute warrior.
Absolutely. For what he's been able to do, and basically, we're guessing one leg. Like, it's...
Yeah. And I think he's got some other things going on too, Bruce. Like, there's 1 or 2 shots they showed him on the bench, and I think he said, my back. You know, I'm not a great lip reader, but that's what it is. So I think he's got a couple things going on.
Probably. I can't kind of curious now to see how much information they give when they do their final meetings and stuff like that, to see what the injury list was. Too, in Woodcroft's post game, he said there was a lot more that wasn't announced, so we'll see, or that wasn't known. Sorry. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Speaking of injuries, Darnell Nurse played the entire postseason with a torn hip flexor. So hats off to him. Obviously,
literally, he's also. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
See, literally, he's playing with one leg too, right? So
I know there was a lot of talk about his play during this series and during the playoffs, and obviously, he wasn't at his best. But I'm not going to fault him for that. I didn't criticize him once through the postseason here because I knew he was dealing with injury, and now knowing the extent of it, I think we should all commend him for gutting through it. So
the fact that he managed to play through that is impressive. Like I Googled it just because, and I'm looking at that, I'm like, I don't know if I could even continue walking through that. Like it.
No.
Like it looks like a fairly. It doesn't look like much, but I think it's a fairly significant injury. So
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, physician, whatever, but
Yeah, me neither.
I can just imagine what that would be like to play with. So, great stuff there from Draisaitl and from Nurse. Draisaitl had 4 primary assists last night, 4 shots on goal, 6 shot attempts. He posted 7 3-point games during the postseason. Only Wayne Gretzky's done that more. He did it twice, once in 87-88 with 8 games, and once in 84-85 with 9. So he truly is the German Gretzky, as his nickname would suggest. What else here? Connor McDavid, another brilliant performance from him. 1 goal, 2 assists, 5 shots, 9 shot attempts. He had 5 individual scoring chances, 4 and 3 high danger. He came to play. He did all he could to keep his team from being swept.
Yeah, and let's not forget here, Mr. Hyman. He had an incredible playoffs as well, and a huge part of game 4 here last night for the Oilers. He came up huge again.
Yeah, I'm a huge Hyman fan. Honestly, I seriously underestimated how valuable he would be to this roster, and
it makes 2 of us.
Worth every penny, and even better, he's just, from all accounts, a tremendous person as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play again next year and the rest of this roster healthy.
Yeah, I think Toronto is now seeing what they let go.
Oh, yeah. Toronto fans aren't happy.
No.
Well, hence the post last night, Bruce. That's should give you some indication.
Right?
Yeah. Mike Smith, you said this yesterday, Bruce, and I think maybe we both did, but we need the best out of Mike Smith for last night if they're going to win. And, he needed to make a couple of extra saves. I think you said that this morning before we were talking here. So,
he made some beautiful saves to keep the Oilers in it, but in a couple of those goals, it's like, Smitty, you got to have them. You got to have those ones. And then his adventure on the boards there, I don't know what was up with that.
Yeah, he was way out in the corner. I mean, that wasn't I'm saying this now because we've seen some real serious gaffes from him in this postseason. That one actually seemed pretty tame compared to the rest.
Yeah.
So that one didn't bother me all that much. But I mean, yeah, he came up short when we needed a few extra saves. He had 36 saves last night, a 5.87 goals against average, an 857 save percentage, and a negative 2.32 goals saved above expected. So, no surprise there that he had to be better. And he said so himself in the post-game press conference. So,
yeah.
And then
I like the way he said that we needed more saves, and just the way he said it, it was just, he was obviously speaking in the third person, but he knew he had to be better.
Yeah. And I think he'll always acknowledge that when he doesn't play well. He acknowledges it. He takes credit for poor performances. So I have a lot of respect and time for him for that reason, for sure. And he's good for a lot of long stretches for a lot of the postseason here, Bruce. But
keep in mind too, they got 6 by him, but if it wouldn't be for him, the score would have been a lot worse, a lot sooner.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind too. Yeah, he let in a couple of ones he probably should have had, but he probably stopped, even though the numbers don't show it, probably 3 or 4 that he probably shouldn't have had that he did get. So,
yeah. And then we got to give some love to some Colorado players here. One guy I feel good about rooting for moving forward is Cale Makar. Third fastest defenseman to record 50 career playoff points. I think he's was it 49 games? 50 points in 49 games.
Yeah.
Big performance, just a casual 5 points, right? 1 goal, 4 assists last night.
Makes it look easy.
He does. Yeah. That actually on his goal, he got that through traffic. Mike Smith had no chance. It was perfectly placed. So, yeah, he's a phenomenal defenseman. A lot of fun to watch. So, hopefully he can continue doing some good things here in the playoffs. And then Artemi Lehkonen. I actually didn't realize how well he played last night, Bruce.
He played. The kid plays well no matter what, right? So, I didn't realize this either. So, he also scored the winning goal to put the Canadiens into the Stanley Cup playoffs last year.
He did, yeah.
So, it's as McKinnon said in his availability, he'd give up 10 first-round picks for him if he had to do it again.
Well, that was big goal.
Not sure if Sakic would agree with that too much, but obviously McKinnon knows his value, right? To him, that's McKinnon's value.
Yeah.
But yeah, the kid comes to play. There's no doubt about it.
So he 1 goal last night, 2 assists, 6 shots, 6 shot attempts, and 5 individual scoring chances and 5 high danger scoring chances. So yeah, he came to play last night. That's exactly what needed from him. Let's talk about today's game, Bruce. Unless there's anything else you want to cover from the Oilers and the Avalanche.
No, I think that's good. I think we've killed it already. So
we beat that dead horse. Okay. Yeah, 15 minutes talking about that. So, so the Rangers in Tampa Bay. I'll just add my little presentation here. Okay, so plus 150 on the money line for the New York Rangers, minus 170 on the money line for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa is driving play in this series, Bruce, despite being down 2-1 in the series. They've been outscored 8-3, 5-on-5. So New York's done a really nice job of putting the puck in the net at even strength. Tampa, they've got a 57 Corsi for percentage. They've outshot New York 92-63 in this series so far, 61.15 expected goals for, and they've outchanced the Rangers 90-65 for a 50.06 scoring chance for percentage. So it's surprising actually to see that New York has done as well as they have 5-on-5, but then you look at Vasilevsky's numbers, and I guess it's really not a big surprise.
Yeah.
3.72 goals against average, 880 save percentage, and a negative 1.97 goals saved above expected for Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah. I watched the last half of Game 3, and I think Tampa's figured out how to fix that. Just play in the Rangers zone, and you don't have to worry about Vasilevsky making saves. The third period, I think, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Rangers had 3 shots in the third period in that game, and none of them were good.
Yeah.
Tampa absolutely owned them in that third period.
That's really the best defense, right? Is a good offense. Just if you don't play in your own zone, you're going to be just fine, and that's what
Tampa just came in waves in that third period. You just knew at some point like they were gonna get to Shesterkin because it was just an incredible. It was a 20-minute onslaught. It was just, if you're a Rangers fan, it was an ugly period.
Well, and Tampa knew if they lose that game, they go down 3-0. That series is essentially over.
Yeah.
So we've got ourselves a series here. On the other side in goal, Igor Shesterkin, 2.34 goals against average, a 943 save percentage, and a 5.32 goals saved above expected. Ryan Strome is expected to play, so he's playing second line center with Kopp and Panarin. He's also playing on their power play, on the top power play in general. New York on the road in the postseason, they've got a 2-6 record, 21 goals for. That's a 2.63 goals for per game, negative 8 goal differential, but their power play is fantastic at almost 32% of the power play. That's ranked 3rd in the playoffs. Their PK could be better, ranked 11th overall at 69%. For Tampa Bay, Braden Point is going to be out for Game 4. He may be an option late in the series. Tampa at home, Bruce, 5-1, 23 goals for a 3.83 goals for per game. A +9 goal differential, almost 21% of the power play, which is ranked 10th, and their PK is 75%, which is ranked 12th. And then for Vasilevsky at home, he's got a 1.91 goals against average and a 942 save percentage. So going back to our presentation, I'm going with Tampa here. I think at home they've been much better. And Bruce, you agree with me?
Yep.
I'm going -1.5 on the puck line at +155. I just, again, left yours on the money line here, but I think better value there on the puck line, assuming they get a 2-goal lead on the Rangers here today.
I think it's going to be very similar to the last game. It's going to be one goal or a goal lead and empty netter is basically, I think it's how close it's going to be.
Okay. Our records to date, I am now up to 60% after betting on the Avs yesterday, which I don't feel good about, but and 52.5% for yourself, Bruce. Let's talk prop bets. Starting with shot props, I like Artemi Panarin over 2.5 shots on goal, +130, averaging 3.33 shots on goal per game and 5 shot attempts per game in the Eastern Conference Final. Looks like some good odds there for that one. Nikita Kucherov over 3.5 shots on goal per game. Over 3.5 shots on goal, +120. He's averaging 4.66 shots on goal, Bruce, and just about 9 shot attempts per game in the Eastern Conference Final.
And some beautiful passes to boot.
Yeah, so I like both of those guys for that shot prop. And then for goal props, Mika Zibanejad leading all skaters in this series with 3 goals. First on the Rangers in shots on goal with 14, shot attempts with 18, and individual scoring chances with 12. Really like Mika Zibanejad in this series. And then Steven Stamkos for an anytime goal at +140. He leads Tampa Bay in shots on goal with 15, as well as individual scoring chances and individual high danger chances. So I'm not really going on a limb with either guy, but you can get them both at plus money, so why not?
Yep, for sure.
DFS picks. We'll start it off here. Center, I like Nikita Kucherov, $9,800. Artemi Panarin, Adam Fox, Vasilevsky, Andre Palat. I like Vasilevsky. Like I said, he's been better at home. I do expect them to take game 2 or game 4 here and tie it up at 2 apiece. And then my showdown lineup looks like Kucherov is my captain, Stamkos, Perry, Zibanejad, Chytil, and Lafreniere.
Mine's just a slight bit of difference. So for me, my center is Zibanejad. Kucherov is winger. Adam Fox, Vasilevsky, and Philip Chytil. For my showdown lineup, again, it's a little bit different. So I Kucherov is my captain, Stamkos, Zibanejad, and Fox. So, and then I've got Chytil and Brandon Hagel because, well, I didn't have much money left after doing those ones. So I needed someone in there that's a good, and Hagel's been playing well as well. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, that does it for today, Bruce. Thanks for everybody for following along here. Be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel here to stay up to date on all of our live streams happening throughout the week during the playoffs. Follow us on Twitter at FHHacks, on Instagram at Fantasy Hockey Hacks. Check out our podcast, like I mentioned earlier, and check out our website, fantasyhockeyhacks.com, for more fantasy hockey and betting-related content. Bruce, we'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
All right. Take care.